Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Ben, John, Cenk, and Matt. Blood of My Blood, episode 6, season 6, Game of Thrones. What was most important, do we think, here?
Like that ties in with the title?
No, I don't care about the title.
Most important? I mean, probably what's happening with Bran maybe is most important in the long run.
I think the Arya stuff is pretty important.
I think that.
I mean, for the future of the world, the stuff that happened with Bran.
Yeah, King's Landing.
King's Landing.
Yeah, but I'm saying theoretically, if Bran had just gotten stabbed in the throat, that's going to be bad for the fate of the world.
That's right. Well, as we say, there's a lot, and Daenerys, of course. I mean, there she is. She's, she got a. I mean, I don't. It seems like it was already the plan. She was just letting people know.
Yeah.
But they saw it. Was that the first time?
That was a weird scene.
The first time they have seen the dragon, the Dothraki?
I believe so, yeah.
So they were.
And it's a full dragon now. It's bigger than even when she flew out from the Colosseum or whatever. She was much larger on it than she was now.
He's been eating well.
Yeah, he might have doubled in size.
And so the the inference also would be her confidence and control of it is pretty solid now, right?
Yeah.
She sensed its presence, right?
Mm-hmm. I assume
so it seems, yeah.
The sad thing is,
so she was like, "I'll be right back."
We don't know what happened with that horse, but we can presume.
Oh, what happened to the
horse? Never came back. I don't know.
Right.
Well, Drogon likes white meat. It was a white horse.
Yeah.
What I loved in that scene, though, is when she starts to say, it was tradition for each call to pick 3 blood riders. And so I'm thinking she's going to name the 3 dragons.
The 3 dragons.
Right?
I
was like, oh,
the riders.
That's kind of interesting. All right. But then, or was it going to be she was going to pick 2 other guys, 2 or 3 people, and they would ride dragons?
That's what I thought it would be.
Then I thought that, and I was like, nope, y'all, all of you. Mm-hmm. Everybody's my blood rider.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why did no other call ever think of that?
Well, it's a little too democratic
I guess.
For the Dothraki.
Plus, there's a risk to it because when the Khal dies, the blood riders have to kill themselves.
Oh, good point.
Is that right?
I believe that's the tradition, which would mean that then all of
dude,
Dothraki
thanks. That's such a great offer. I'm going to pass.
Exactly. Just takes one guy.
Totally honored. Got a lot of stuff going on now. A lot of Dothraki. TCM Dothraki is like taking off.
I don't know that they don't seem much into the classics.
TCM, Dothraki Classic.
Dothraki Classic.
Dothraki Classic Maulings. That's awesome. Okay, so I actually didn't love this episode. Now, that's exactly how I started the last review, and then you guys talked me out of it, and you were right. And so, and then the rest of the week I was haunted by Hold the Door, right? So you guys were right. Last episode was really great in a lot of ways. This episode, I just felt like was the setup episode.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go here. We're gonna go. Nothing's gonna happen, but we're gonna get it all ready for the ending in the 7, 8, 9, 10.
As always, your linear worldview sometimes, for a complicated man, your occasional good episode, bad episode. Like, yes, it's set up because that's how you get to good episodes.
Yeah. Otherwise, they would be abrupt. They'd come out of nowhere. The payoff wouldn't be as strong.
So, I mean, Daenerys got control of her dragon. Marjorie has been the first person to trick the High Sparrow, maybe, or she's been completely co-opted by the High Sparrow.
Well, so let's talk about how that
Hold on, just real quick. Sam took charge and shut down his father, took charge of his life. Benjen Stark showed up, and Arya made her decision. Like, I mean, that stuff happening.
Yeah,
that's a lot of stuff, actually, when you put it that way.
So, look, in an episode called Blood of My Blood, I expect a lot more blood.
No, but it's about lineage. It's about every one of these had...
I know it's about lineage.
Now you
there was blood. Well, there was undead blood, I guess, up north.
So, yeah, look, lovely anyway. You know me, Game of Thrones, I love every episode, blah, 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 right? But it was all the most uninteresting storylines. Arya, Samwell Tarly, those are not the most interesting storylines.
Moment.
There was no Varys, there was no Tyrion, there was no Jon Snow. So, and the Daenerys thing, just to button that conversation up before we move to the stuff that Matt's talking about, is like, we knew all that. We knew, we kind of knew she was going to control the dragon. We knew that they were going to go and fight. I mean, it was just like, at least it was quick, just to say, no. I'm done sitting around. Okay, we're going to go, finally, we're going to go to the Seven Kingdoms and kick all their asses with you guys and the dragons. All right, good, but it's not like a big revelation.
But how does she know? But she still didn't have the ships.
No, the Ironborn are going to build them in a week.
No, I know, but she doesn't. She doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
But she asked about it. She said, "Yet I don't know." I figured she would come up with some plan.
Maybe Dragon the Dragon. Maybe he's checked it out. Maybe he's seen the ships. He could have flown over, seen.
He's
the
been
ships,
building them.
reported back. Yeah,
That's where he's been.
Tiny little
yeah.
claws.
It's not so much eating; it's muscle. He's been working.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. Of what was significant. So that had to be guys who've read the books. That there was more information of Benjen Stark's existence.
That we actually know now?
Yeah,
Right, but in
that
the
was a
book-
big reveal. That
In
was
the books, there was wild speculation
Right.
that a character who was
Right.
out
We hadn't
there
we
was
hadn't
Benjen,
really seen
but it hasn't
Cold
been
Hands
show.
in the books or in the show.
show.
We'd seen him a bunch of the books because he'd been hanging out with Bran and Mira, and to have that revealed as Benjen Stark is a big development because there'd also, now this dips into the show a little bit, but there had also been theories that Benjen had left the Night's Watch and was Dario. Right? That was another theory about the books. Yes,
What?
that's another theory.
What
Crazy, stupid theory.
Dario.
Naharis.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy talk.
That's crazy talk.
Who's Dario Naharis? Is that Eric Bana Jr.?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's-
There was that theory
Use
as
his
well.
proper
It's a
name.
ridiculous theory.
It is watching the show now, obviously, right? But that was another theory.
I didn't think that there was particularly good evidence. Look, if he wanted us to think that Cold Hands was Benjen Stark all along, and by the way, just because he's Cold Hands in the show doesn't mean he's Cold Hands in the book, theoretically.
I mean, the other way around. Yeah.
Right.
No.
No. Cold
Anyway.
Hands could be someone else in the book. I didn't think that there was particularly good evidence that it was Benjen all along. And honestly, now that it's been revealed, I don't really care that much. I mean, Benjen we saw for about a minute
It's a bigger
and a half.
deal in the book.
It's something.
It's a bigger deal
Yeah,
because,
and look,
because
Cold
the
Hands
loss
has
of
more
Benjen
of a
comes
role.
up a lot.
I think it's
in the book.
important that we've gotten two critical pieces of information about who the White Walkers are. About they're no longer simply this mysterious, largely unkillable, replicating evil force. Like he's part White Walker. He did go out as a ranger, and he got killed, right, or some version of close to kill, and then the kids saved him.
The kids in the hall.
In some way, the same way they somehow, like they did a halvesy, you know.
He's like Blade now, actually.
Right. So right, but he's
But
like
with fire on a chain. That was
Exactly.
pretty awesome.
that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I mean, it was a little old-fashioned TV, like dun, 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 last second, but whatever. Bran, we knew.
Yeah.
But whatever. It was still exciting, and at least he was like, okay, I can kill 7 of them, but I can't kill 700 of them.
Yeah.
So we got to go.
He's very close to Jon. It's not impossible that they could beat up very soon. They both share sort of coming back from the dead.
Yep.
He desperately needs an older Stark to help him, advise him, and all of that. It will be important.
That's going to be a good conversation. And Benjen presumably knows Jon's lineage. Good
There's
chance.
a good chance.
Good chance that
Very good
understand.
That's true.
Well, I hadn't thought of that part.
I thought that we would see that when he started hallucinating and seeing the Mad King and everything, I thought then finally we'd get the Tower of Joy. When are we returning to the Tower of Joy? But maybe with Benjen we don't need to.
right. Maybe he'll just tell that story and
So don't worry. Bran's a time traveler. We're going to get to the Tower of Joy.
we're running out of
but
episodes.
now I'm going to go completely the opposite direction and go. My favorite part of the episode was Uncle Benjen coming back. Like the minute I saw the fireball, I was like, finally, Benjen.
Right.
Right. Okay. So because you're not going to have a plot out there like, oh, we never found Uncle Benjen. Oh well, I guess we'll never resolve that. Right. He's coming back at some point. And
or
now
they, or
it
they
makes
find,
perfect
right,
sense.
Right, or they find his body in some
Right.
significant way, right? But it can't. It's not just going to end after season 8 with us saying whatever happened to Benjen. This isn't Lost.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was definitely the episode for Uncle Benjen came back, Uncle Edmure came back. It was a good uncle episode.
Uncle Edmure, Edmure, who
had been getting married at the Red Wedding appears.
Oh, right. He was
Yeah,
in
not
the,
to
right. He
change
was in
the
the
scene.
dungeon.
Yeah, from the most relevant uncle to the least relevant uncle.
cool.
But anyway, no, that was a badass scene. Yes, it was a little, TV-esque with at the last second, right after the commercial break. But I totally forgave that instantly, and it was super badass. I love the fireball. I love the story of how he's half
dead.
half dead, half Iceman, White Walker, whatever he is, right? So no, Benjen's badass. That I liked. Blood of my blood.
And
And he drank blood.
and I like I like the human moments, and I thought I liked Mira's sort of I liked her like I am so sorry, Like, in death, like I had this job, me and my brother had this job, and now it appears we failed. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But it turns out, but it was good because obviously we have to figure that Bran lives, but otherwise that whole moment of Hodor's sacrifice is meaningless. Like, and Hodor's sacrifice had to be meaningful, and it
had to. Even in Game of Thrones, it had to.
Yeah, and it was incredibly meaningful, of course.
Right.
And then there was, and I loved, I thought that it was definitely coming, but I liked Arya's turn. I mean, after that conversation, Arya Stark is not going to let someone that innocent die, and which leads, I would like to have the conversation about the Faithless Men, because they're useless jackbags and should be wiped from the earth. They're hired killers. There's nothing great. There's nothing honorable in what they do. They occasionally somebody who has an honorable quest will hire them. But this is just this is Eve Harrington. This is nothing. This is a jealous actress.
I think that they would say, and I could be wrong, they would say that just because we overheard one conversation with the actress, we don't know that actress. We don't know all the things that she's done. She could have been bad. This is like somebody judging the Church of Scientology without ascending to the highest level. That's where you find out what's really going on.
All right, great point. Okay, I stand corrected.
Okay. An audience doesn't know what an actress's worth really is.
Well, that's true.
What Jack and Hagar would say.
Yeah, but I would say also, so them saying, okay, you're not going to kill her, so I'm going to kill you now, it seems evil from the outside, but in a way, we've trained you to be this killer. You have to be controlled. If you go out there and just start killing whoever you want, we can't allow that.
Oh yeah,
I think it's actually responsible.
You can't have a responsible killer just going out killing whoever they want in Westeros.
I mean, I'm saying this is them.
Get in line.
This is them saying we're not just going to let people learn all these techniques to kill people, and then you can go off and do whatever you want. We're going to control it.
You're explaining away Donald Trump and Roger Stone.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Oh my God, I did.
So I've always assumed that the Faceless Men knew what they were talking about and were good guys. And so, if they, I guess, I don't know if that makes me a bad guy, but if I was Arya, I'd be like, yeah, these guys, they have all the magic, they know everything. I'm sure she had it coming. Let's go. Here, poison, drink it. Let's move forward.
So you would have put the poison in?
Yeah, but because I signed up for that. It's not like I wandered into a place and somebody said, poison this guy. I'd be like, no, hell no, I'm not going to. But I signed up for listening to whatever that dude says, and I'm done with that conversation. She should have been done with that conversation the minute she stepped in, but I know she wasn't, and I get it.
They're a cult.
Yeah.
It's a cult.
Well, this is one of the areas where
because they talk that way. Nobody talk. Don't trust anyone who talks in riddles only.
No, but in Game of Thrones,
that Riddler.
a cult of hitmen have to be good guys.
I don't. And no, because we know that his little assistant, she's a dweeb. She's got it coming.
Terrible.
And her death's going to be.
Yeah,
I got no beef with her death.
I thought that they were like some sort of she was training her. I never disliked her, right? I realize now we were supposed to dislike her.
No, I didn't really dislike her either.
Right, but I thought they were going to come around and they were going to be like a comedy duo, go on the path, assassinating people, right? A buddy flick at the end, right? But
that's the sequel.
Yeah, but it turns out no, they actually do really dislike each other, and Arya is about to kill her. So my second favorite part of the episode is when she blows out the candle at the end.
Yeah,
because she was blind and knows how to fight in the dark better, and she's waiting.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh yeah, with her sword.
With her sword,
right? Not just in the dark with a stick, with her sword.
Yeah,
there was a disappointment, I think, about that scene, that she's done all this payoff to become this amazing assassin, and at the end of, I believe, last season, when she kills the Kingsguard, it's a great scene of her overpowering him. She's brutal, she's learned stuff. She's different.
I don't remember that. Was she killed a Kingsguard?
Remember, there's the pedophile,
that dude.
too old, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So then, her big test, she's this amazing assassin. Her technique is, I stumble in, everybody sees me, I look around the room for a while, and then I very blatantly pour it in there slowly, really slowly. I could do that. That's not an amazing assassin
technique. Stumbling out,
they're not
somebody's
all,
like, hey,
and then
who
she
are
gets
you?
caught.
They're not all 10s. Sometimes it's just a 2 job.
But that was nothing. Rickon could have done that.
Yeah, well.
No, he's been captured. This is it's
true.
interesting the way they're doing this in the show, though, right? Because we're seeing Arya be uncomfortable with the idea of killing unless it's somebody that she's got a personal stake on it. But in the way her training goes in the parts of the novels is that she does commit a few of these paid murders.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. She absolutely does.
She also kills someone that she's not supposed to,
Right.
though. A different
she
person.
does, but she's more willing to kill based on the orders she's getting than she is otherwise. And
Okay, but ultimately, either way, she becomes. There's a sense of dissolution. They sped it up.
Right.
Here
They
in the show.
absolutely sped it up, and I think what
She's
we're
more
seeing with the evolution of that character is we're seeing Arya. There's the hints of it all along. Arya is not just a girl. She's not no one. She is Arya Stark, and arguably she sandbagged that decision when she hid her sword.
That's right.
Right, because she's supposed to give everything up. She hid that sword, and of course she goes back and gets it. She goes back and gets Needle, and she's ready to use it. She's Arya Stark again. She's not just a girl. She's not just a faceless man.
Right. She's more Stark than Faceless Man, as it turned out, and that was the that was the call.
So the good and the bad thing of that is, so again, when she blows out the candle, I love that, and I immediately, of course, thought, so you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted it. I was born in it. Okay, so it was a nice Bane moment to come. The downside is, okay, let's say she kills her, buddy in the buddy comedy or whatever, right?
What's her name?
They call her the waif.
The waif. So, okay, she kills the waif. So what? There's a lot of nameless men, and they're the world's best assassins. What? They're not going to be able to catch Arya?
But that's going to be cool. Now she's going to be on the run.
Or
that sounds preposterous to me.
Or he's got or this isn't quite as evil as they're not as evil as I think, and that he's not this is all part of some.
Or they know. They
know.
knew that she was Arya Stark, and they knew
And
she
this
was
is still
into
part
that.
of some test, and
Right.
and her mission is now going to be go help fix everything.
Yeah.
Because
if it turns
but don't
out,
forget who set you up to do this.
right? If it turns out that she just evades and somehow bests all the faceless men, that's preposterous.
So because of course when she said you promised me, and he nods, right? She didn't say you promised me I could kill her. We presume that that's what she means, and then he set her off to do that. No, probably right, but it's you promised me that I would
banish her.
Right, be the one to I don't know.
Well, except that he then does say to her,
yeah,
see that she doesn't suffer.
That's right. That's true. That's true. He does. It's pretty clear.
He means emotionally or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Set her on her path.
So we'll see. Again, I get. Well, I mean, he could kill them, and the faceless. He could decide. All right. Well, she's quite good, and she's probably going to do
Let's
right.
not keep throwing people after her that she's just going to kill.
That she's going to kill, and I got other things to worry about.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like how they'd roll.
Or she kills her, puts on her face, goes back and convinces him that the job is done.
No,
right? That's probably what she'll do.
That's pretty good.
No, but the faceless men are everywhere. Every time she does something wrong, they pop out. I mean, they're not to be trifled with.
I got it, but then why are they so insignificant? And why haven't they made a bigger dent in the world? Again, I just think
because nobody's paying them to.
They're just they're a cult of assassins, and it's.
All right, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. All right, so I liked the Sam moment. I got it. It doesn't appear to be hugely relevant, but I suspect it will somehow be more relevant.
It.
Yeah, and
you've always been partial to Sam.
I liked Sam, and I liked Gilly too.
But part of the relevance of that is the sword that he takes, right? Because those Valyrian swords were created to fight the White Walkers.
I saw some website that has traced all the Valyrian steel that we know of. They just did an article about where.
I love that you're mentioning Valyrian steel.
Yeah, I know. It's a sad day.
That was. I know why he took it and everything, but it's one thing to leave. Your father would probably even like that. But if you're worried about being pursued by faceless men, taking that sword, he's going to be pursued.
I got it, but he also, but it gave us the great line.
Right.
That's your father's sword. It's my family sword.
Right. But he's like, well, and it's like your father will come and take it. He's like, yeah, he can try.
He can try.
But all right.
That's true. That was nice.
But it's a recognition that it's not just my father is, again, it is not his father's sword. It's going to go to another member and then to another member. He's right. It is the family sword.
Technically, it should be his sword.
That's right. And so he
Eventually,
arguably has as much right to it as the father. I mean, there's a procession that he is now violating, but he's saying, my father's evil. My father has lost his rights to this sword. And I think that's a fair decision to make. I don't know what his plan is, except he's killed a White Walker and a
Then.
and a Fen.
Right.
You know, I imagine he can kill a Tarly.
Well, but I love that Gilly kind of calls out the other Tarleys and like, Sam's a much better warrior than either of you guys put together.
Yeah,
right?
she was
because
bold.
he has like he's really been there, and all these guys have really done that we know of is hunt, right?
Well, Randall Tarley is supposed to be one of the best strategists and military commanders. Like,
Is that his brother or his
father? He's one of the Lannisters, I believe, like vassals. Like he's one of the field commanders. I was actually shocked when they showed him that he's this older looking guy, like he's fairly small. I was really hoping that Sam would stand up to him at the dinner. I mean, Gilly did all of the defending of him, which is cool for her character, but he was just so shrunken still after all of his experiences, he still couldn't stand up for himself.
Did you notice that's the second actor we've seen from Downton Abbey?
Who?
The guy that played
Randall
he was
Tarley. The racist.
Yeah.
Right. He just plays a douche.
Yeah.
He's got a kind of a jackbag look, you know.
He does. Yeah.
So it is funny that no matter what you do, you still can't help but want the respect of your father, and that's just universally true. And so he melts there, right? And so he mans up at the end, but I wish, like, it's a little unsatisfactory.
But that's why the show, I think that's why things are great, because first of all, it empowered Gilly, like, and he took power from that thing that Gilly did. He was, and also she's like, I don't care that you didn't stand up to him. Of course you didn't stand up to him. He's diminished you your entire life. I couldn't be more proud of you. Like, in that moment, it's also when he leaves and he's like, no, I can't do this. I can't. First of all, on a practical level, he didn't say it, but I thought you can't leave Gilly in that house with your father because he doesn't think she's a person. And he's gonna put her, and you know, this is a world where we've seen how women who aren't thought of as people get treated by powerful men. So you got to get her and the kid out of that house, because whether he, you know, to let her live to satisfy the mother, he would still, I think, presume that he could do whatever he wanted with her. So I loved that decision. I loved that they're sort of, you know, a team, that they each made each other stronger. She made him stronger, and then he took that strength and bolted with the sword.
So one of the reasons that I found it more acceptable that he didn't stand up to his dad, I guess, is that the problem with this world is that death is around every corner, right? He makes the wrong call there, and maybe his dad chops her head off because she's a wildling.
That's what he said, in fact, right?
Right. And so that's partly why he's like, do I say anything? And almost every decision, like, so at the end, he goes and gets the sword and he's going to leave. That means death might be around the corner when his father catches up with him. On the other hand, if he'd said something at dinner, death might have been around the corner.
Yeah, that's true.
The only part that annoyed me there, hence I get it and I like it and I'm in it, but is that on the way to the house, to the castle, I would have coached her so thoroughly, right? Where are you from? No, within like every minutia of here's the house I'm from, here's what we do, here's how we met, etc. Because you don't want them catching on that she's a wildling.
It didn't take long.
Yeah, I mean, and he's supposed to be smart. What horrible preparation.
Yeah. Real quick though, that first shot of the castle.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
They're rich.
I was going to say,
damn.
That's I think the largest castle we've ever seen.
Maybe other than
one of the bigger
King's
ones.
Landing.
Like,
Winterfell's supposed to be
effort.
really, really big.
Right.
I thought, what's it called? Horn Hill?
Horn Hill.
I thought it was like a little keep in the woods or something.
Nope.
That looked like what I imagine Highgarden would look like.
Yeah, it was nice. The sisters, like, you know, and you change in one of my bedrooms.
Yeah. Right.
It's good to be. Good to have land.
That's right. Good problems to have. All right, the Tyrells and Marjorie and the High Sparrow and Jaime.
So there's a lot of setup in the episode. Finally, we get to this scene. When we got to this scene, I was like, all right, here we go. Blood of my blood, okay?
Yeah, like the army comes into that square, and the note I make to myself is, holy shit, there's a lot of people in that square.
Yeah.
Right? And the Tyrell army comes in anyway. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a bloodbath. This is going to be crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Led by the doorman from The Wizard of Oz. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
It was a nice
that
little
was pretty
touch
awesome.
they did.
A horse of a different color.
What an uninspiring dude.
Yeah.
That was Jamie's reaction to it was awesome.
Yeah,
right. He's like, are we
Look at
done
this
with
clown.
it? Yeah, we're done with it? Okay, great. Let's just, come on.
go,
Let's keep going, okay? And then when Jaime goes up the steps with the horse, I was like, yes, blood of my blood, right? Here we go, let's do it. and then it was kind of a schwang wang wang ending.
That's right. That's right. But that's why it was good and dramatic, because
it was,
you can't. Yeah, I thought it was really great that there was, again, politics trumped everything else.
Yeah, that was a shocking move. I was really surprised at that, because when Marjorie starts talking to Tommen earlier, you're like, okay, does she know that people are listening to her? Has she been converted? Right. Like, we got that scene in the last episode, she has to be playing. She has to be playing.
It has to be.
She has to be, because we haven't seen the scene of her being broken. And I can't, it would be really unusual in this show where we see everything, that would be left to happen off screen.
Especially with what happened with her brother.
Right.
That was not I'm about to flip over behavior.
Right. That was really surprising.
What's her name? Is that Natalie Dormer?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
Marjorie.
She's a good actress. I mean, everybody, they cast this incredibly well, because you can't tell from those shots, but she gives you a reaction. She's not stone-faced. But there's a moment of, is she thinking, oh no, they've messed up this wonderful, they don't understand the High Sparrow, or is it like, hey, can you guys send some sort of frickin' signal that you're going to do this? Because then I wouldn't have gone through this frickin' nonsense, and I wouldn't have had to waste all this time and energy. You can't tell. I mean, we all think, because it's so much, it would be so inconsistent, that she's bought into the High Sparrow's nonsense.
So we all think that she's faking?
I think so, yeah.
God, it's so tough to tell, right? I mean, I think we're supposed to watch that scene roughly from Jaime's point of view, where Jaime comes in and he's like, look, I speak for the king. We want Marjorie back. We're not going to do the walk of shame. And the Sparrow's like, okay, well, here's what's going on. And Tommen walks out, and it's shocking. Right now, Marjorie clearly knew that, because she doesn't give anything away. She still reacts, like you said, but she doesn't give anything away. And this is this great moment in the show, like, God only knows what we're supposed to think.
I'm surprised we didn't get a look, or maybe if I did, we missed it, between Marjorie and Diana Rigg, between Marjorie and the Queen of Thorns.
I don't think that we did. She thinks they're beaten.
Right, she probably thinks they're beaten, or I guess.
I mean, that's what she says.
That's what she says to her idiot son.
And we have no reason to believe that she's been in contact with Marjorie, that they could be planning this together.
But
they are connected. They are. Else. I mean, they're close and they're connected. Like one look from Marjorie to her could tell everything, right?
Maybe.
A big wink.
I got this. Don't And also, does she really have it? I mean, is it a long-term plan, or is it just a plan to be? I just read, I don't know what recap I was reading, but is her plan to win, right, and get the High Sparrow out, or is her plan to be like, I don't want to do the walk of shame, that's too much, and I don't know what the outcome of that is. They say, I could be killed in the walk of shame. There's a lot of things that could go wrong there. Or is it just to be like, what, I'd rather be the queen and have all the luxuries in a theocracy, is better than being in the dungeon.
Yeah. Well, because a partnership with Marjorie and Tommen with the High Sparrow certainly that's a different spin on partnering with Cersei, right? Like it's if she's got the High Sparrow and the Faith Militant on her side, that definitely gives them more pull than being with the Lannisters.
Sure, but is that just a practical decision? Like, this is what gets me out, or does she think, okay, this is a good plan? Or does she want to ultimately?
Well, and so this goes to the theory I was talking about before we started recording. Is Cersei then later says that her trial by combat is still coming up, and Jaime kind of says he's a little worried about it. Jaime, who's now been stripped of his position, and Cersei's like, "Yeah, I got the Mountain." And in that moment, I thought, "Oh, the Mountain's going to kill Tommen."
See, but that's so super, because you think Tommen is going to fight?
Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think so.
I think the Mountain.
I know, it's crazy.
I think the Mountain could kill Tommen, but not because Tommen is fighting him in the ring.
I could see Tommen taking on the Faith so insanely too far that he decides he's going to be the champion.
I think the only way he becomes the champion is if the church says you're the champion and forces him. I don't think he volunteers for that.
I mean, but the High Sparrow could talk him into it if the High Sparrow wants Tommen with him, obviously.
Don't worry, guys. I solved it.
Oh, okay.
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 So let's. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Yeah.
So of course, like everybody, you wonder, is she faking it, not faking it? But of course, we know she's faking it, because we would have had the scene where
I think so,
because it's too short a time window from, hey, Loras, we're going to get out of this, we'll figure this out, to, oh my God, I am totally with the faith militants. I think they are totally right. Come on, Tommen, let's do this. Okay, so no, she's clearly faking. One way of looking at it is, okay, hey, like, get me out of here, and I'll unbrainwash Tommen. That's easy enough. He's an 8-year-old or 12-year-old or whatever he is, right? Yeah. Oh, you got me. No walk of atonement. I'm good, right? Yeah. You know what? Instead of my walk of shame, I'll give you the king. Fair deal?
Right.
Deal, right? By the way, the fact that the king walks in there every once in a while and talks to the High Sparrow is madness. I wouldn't let the king anywhere near the High Sparrow, let alone in those dungeons.
Even with the King's Guard.
Yeah.
Granted, he is the king.
Yeah, no, I
mean,
I wouldn't let it.
No, there's no way that's a scenario.
He does get to go and do things on his own, though.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah, but if I was Cersei, I'd have him in a headlock and be like, "What are you going to go get kidnapped by that guy?"
Or Uncle Kevin.
Yeah, right. So anyway, one of the reasons she might have done it, though, additionally, is strip Jaime Lannister. Jaime Lannister's out, because we thought the Tyrells might come in and take over the city since they're already in the city. Now she's got the faith militants.
Right.
She has the army in the city, and Jaime's gone.
Yeah.
Well, now she's got all the power.
Which means
So
that Cersei's got little power.
Right.
The season could end with them
She's
in
told,
charge.
presumably, that decision by Tom, and that obviously came from Marjorie. I mean, she's just talked him into joining the faith.
Right.
But just in case we were wondering, though, Jonathan Pryce, I mean, the High Sparrow is the biggest fraud ever. I mean, just from a moment of the only way the gods can be satisfied is with the walk of shame. Oh, it turns out, no, the gods have just let me know, like Joe Smith, the gods have just let me know there's an exception to the walk of shame, and that's if the king shows up on our side.
Or the thing he says, he says, anyone in the faith would be happy to lose their life in defense of their faith.
Right.
Fortunately, we don't have to do that today.
No, and also, right, totally, yeah. But also there's
Good thing we don't have to do that today.
There's a
luck
look,
would have it.
There's a look from Uncle Kevin's kid. What's his name?
Oh, Lancel.
Lancel.
There's a look from Lancel that I thought was like, I'm not super ready to die.
Right.
No, that look to me meant there's something more going on with Lancel. We're going to find
there's
out
something more going on with
Lancel's role in one of the upcoming episodes.
And maybe it's
appears to
as
be.
simple as the High Sparrow is that he's full of shit. Like this is not real. But it turns out, so we think Marjorie is every bit as good a political player as Cersei, or certainly a
Better.
I would assume. In the long run, she'll be better.
Right.
I think, again, I keep saying
Cersei
this,
doesn't think
Cersei is terrible at it.
She doesn't say enough. She definitely doesn't think more than one step ahead. But in the history of storytelling on screen, when someone says, "Don't worry about the trial by combat. I got this. I have the mountain. I can't lose." That means only one thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's the mountain is still alive because Oberyn thought he couldn't lose.
Right. So
Right.
to me, that means no. Whoever this trial by combat, the mountain. That crazy incompetent doctor, like whatever. You talk about he left an Achilles heel, like hit the back of his knee, and he crumbles.
Right. Or at the very least, it shows that her dependence on the mountain is going to go catastrophically wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not working out for her.
Yeah, but
Or the Faith Militant choose Lancel and Uncle Kevin throws the match for some reason because he doesn't want his son to die.
That's right, yeah.
Or something
even
totally
could.
unexpected. The Faith Militants are like, we select as our champion Drago the Dragon.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, well, we're done with this.
My money, I know it's a long shot, my money still on Tommen.
So my now,
I think
That's crazy
that-
talk.
my now
That's the
money is
craziest
that
thing you've ever said.
the dramatic death,
That's far and away from the craziest thing that I've ever
the dramatic death in this season is Cersei's.
like in episode 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tommen could
Not
very
till
well
after
die.
Tommen dies.
I think Tommen could. She has to see him die.
Tommen's
But
gonna
I
die
think
first,
the champion
absolutely.
could theoretically be the Hound. That's a theory that he's still out there somewhere. I think that they
Oh,
probably
that would be awesome.
They probably would have
Right,
set
Let's
it up.
make that happen.
That's what they call the Clegane Bowl, because they're brothers.
Yeah. And he has like a flaming sword or
right,
something.
because-
No, I know
Remember,
they're
if-
brothers.
right,
But
remember-
the Clegane Bowl is already fantastic.
Yeah, it's actually
Right.
been
The
dog
sponsored.
bowl.
They've been talking about that on.
Oh, I did not know
fans
that.
have been
So,
hoping
and
for
that's
that
funny
for
you guys
years.
say all that because at the end of the episode, for whatever reason, not related to anything you guys just said, because I didn't know that at all, I thought, God damn it, where's the Hound? It's you know why I thought it? Because of Uncle Benjen. I was like, Uncle Benjen was out there and he finally came back. The only other guy out there is the Hound, who they never showed if he died or not, right?
Yeah.
That guy seems really likely to die. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
By the way, that
Yeah, but
polls me.
we've seen people die and come back.
Yeah.
So likely
Oh,
to
wait a
die
minute.
doesn't cut
Next
it.
Wait a
episode,
minute.
they
The
get through
Hound was one of the guys who saw someone come back to life. He has had contact with the Lord of the Light people. Remember, he killed a guy, cut him in half, and he came back to life?
Yeah.
I do not.
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah.
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 In the
And
underground
so
thing.
If he's in proximity to those guys, he knows those guys.
And I
I mean,
think
it's a
that he
little
is
too
in
many
proximity.
people come back.
I think he's just not dead the first time.
Right.
Yeah, I
That
think
guy's
he's
too
not
tough
dead.
to just die.
Yeah, but like maybe the Lord of the Light
But-
people come and find him right before he dies.
I think the faith. If he comes back, it's because the faith saved him. I think we will know next episode. They have to They can't just bring him back. That would be too weird. They have to give some kind of indication or something. And I think that they would do that next episode.
So, by the way, the faith and the Lord of the Light totally separate and competing gods. And they're like, no, my God is better than
And
your
who's the
God.
main god at
Well, right,
King's
because the
Landing?
faith militant are
seven-
following
The seven, who are, it's like the Trinity.
seven.
It's the equal components of
Right.
God.
It's the seven. That's who the
Right.
faith militant are.
The stranger, the
following.
maiden. And
I got you. So this SEPTA. Every time I think of the Philly Metro, that's what it's called in the subway
SEPTA.
in Philadelphia. It's called the SEPTA.
Oh, right. Yeah. The Southeastern Pennsylvania
Transit Authority. Right. That's right.
So-
by the way, just last note on that. The High Sparrow getting killed is going to actually be, for me, number 2 after Joffrey in satisfaction. More so than
Ramsay?
Tywin, more so than Ramsay. Even more so than Ramsay. Like, yeah, because I can't stand that High Sparrow guy. Me being an atheist and stuff is probably somewhat related to it. And all this highfalutin talk and I'm like,
the robe. Oh, I'm all
Right.
dirty, so I'm better than you.
I don't wear
Yeah.
shoes.
So how many nonsense BS gods are there? I mean, there's magic in this world, but we got no evidence of gods since season 1, episode
Thousands.
1. Right.
The faith, the seven have never shown any special ability or
Right,
power or
and
whatever.
the High Sparrow is the what's his god? What's
The seven.
That's he's
seven.
the 7.
He's the new. They used to have a high septon. He didn't want to be a septon because it was
so
seen
he's
as
just
luxurious
taken,
and.
he's taken the same god that has always been in
The seven.
Yes.
and just been like, hey, you guys aren't really listening. I'm
Yeah.
the one who. Okay,
But the 7
Right,
are the
so
new
there's-
gods,
so
right?
there's-
It's like a populist
they're
reformation
the 7
of
is the new
seven.
gods, not the old gods.
They're
Right,
new,
it's
yeah.
the new gods. It's the newer ones that part of why all of the weirwood trees got cut down is because
The seven.
of the seven. That was the faith that the Andals and whoever else brought over, and all of the people that ended up fighting the children, right? The children have their old gods, which some of the guys in the
Starks still
north
kind of have.
still follow. Then there's the Lord of Light. And then, of course, according to Silvio Farrell, there is only one God. And we just say to him, not today.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
and
it's
the
what
faceless
the guys
men,
in Bravos,
the faceless men have a god
call
too.
the many
The faceless men have
Yes.
that's a different god though.
Well, it's death. It's the many-faced God.
They believe that that's what everybody's worshiping because, of course, every religious person thinks that all the religions are basically worshiping their god.
So, my bad. Silvio
there's
Farrell is also out there. He's the third guy who was out there.
Is that the sword? Is that
The
the
swordman
Yeah.
of Bravos.
because we didn't see him
We
get?
never saw him die.
We never seen him get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
It would be a long time.
But I got it. We also
and
Gendry.
Gendry is also out there somewhere.
we never saw.
I think Gendry's
Gendry
gone. I think
is
they forgot.
he was traveling with Arya. I think he's been
Right,
found.
he's
a bastard.
he's
of-
Robert's bastard.
He's a bastard of
Robert's
Robert though.
bastard.
Yeah,
So
and
he's
he-
gotta
one
come
of
back.
Robert's many bastards.
Yeah, okay.
But
now
I
it
think
turns
maybe
out
the
there are
only
4
one
out
that's still
there.
surviving because they went
Maybe.
through and they
went
knifed a
and
bunch of
killed-
babies.
They went and killed all of them. I don't know. We didn't see Stannis get killed, and now we presume.
No,
That's
but
true.
no, I never had him in the same category. She swung the sword. It was, to me, it was super clear that Stannis was dead. And this season, they made it extraordinarily clear. He's dead. Yeah, there's no
Or
question.
is he?
No, she took
Well,
his head
Brienne
off.
wouldn't be false about that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. She doesn't
No
lie.
I don't
way.
think.
Yeah.
She doesn't lie.
Right?
No way. He's
Last thing, do we need to talk about? Walter Frey,
Mm.
You mean Willie Nelson?
Willie Nelson. Right? We need to talk about.
If in a Willie
I'll-
Nelson,
That guy's going to get killed. It's going to be all ugly.
yeah, if in a Willie Nelson biography pick, he doesn't get selected,
Right.
he's done something terribly wrong. Like he's got to be going home going, how did that happen? How did that happen? Anyway, so I like the incompetence of his sons.
Yeah, that's why he's got to die because they're the whole thing.
Right.
They
Yeah.
like their power
have they
is.
stayed
Well,
in
and the thing is,
power?
he's got a really bad death coming, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
he's the one who broke the idea that if you feed your guests, they're safe under your roof.
Yeah.
Right.
And he went. I mean, that's something that everybody accepts, right? That's
Right.
the conventional practice, and he went against that, and he's betrayed the gods. Everyone has said that.
Yeah.
So his death will likely be particularly ugly.
And I think I know who's going to do it.
So,
but I can't say.
As we talked about the first. Go ahead, sorry.
Are you moving on from the scene?
No, go ahead.
I didn't think that they were going to do this, but I'm not going to spoil it. But for book readers, I think a character will come back that we haven't seen in a while in the next episode or two for that storyline. I think the fact that they're refocusing on River Run and the phrase, I think a character that people have been waiting to see might finally show up.
You think Robin's?
so.
You think
I'm not going to say woo.
You think Robin's mom? We never saw her hit the ground.
There was still a little bit of blood in her neck.
Right, yeah. It's been a remarkable turn. Like this, the Starks are the Golden State Warriors. Down 3
Clearly.
games to 1.
Come
down
back.
game 6 by 8 with 6 minutes to play. I mean, but now all of a sudden, Arya freed, Sansa freed, Jon freed, and raising an army.
So let me ask you a question.
And Benjen shows up. I mean, all of a sudden, you think all we did in this show is lose Starks, and all of a sudden
we're gaining.
Yeah,
Starks.
we're gaining Starks.
Okay,
Rickon's
so-
back, and by the
Rickon's
way,
back.
Bran is the most important person on Earth.
Bran is the most important person
All right.
after unfollowed shortly by Jon. I mean, and they're all
John, I would put power ranking number 3 behind Daenerys.
Daenerys.
But I have a
Yeah.
question for you. So if the
Power
Starks are the Golden State Warriors and they've come through the playoffs, who are the Cavs?
Well, the Cavs maybe are the Lannisters.
the Lannisters. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of talent, but
And always there in the championship.
always there in the championship game, but always. But
And
not-
they have the king,
right.
King James.
right.
I think the Sand Snakes and Dorne are the Golden State Warriors.
But they didn't let
Speaking of plot lines that drifted away.
Yeah, is that a plot line that none of us miss?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like one of those
I don't
actresses,
dislike
but-
them as much as you guys do. I do like that we're out in the suburbs a little bit more, like the river runs that we never had much interaction with, the Knights of the Vale, etc. I like that they're now coming into the fray. Literally,
What's the connection
it's the
between
phrase.
River Run and Knights of the Vale? Any? Are they near each other? Is that or just that's?
Yeah,
They're not
the,
that far
The
off.
Knights of the Vale are east-ish of River Run, but they're pretty close.
And quickly, Sansa has decided she's comfortable with her uncle. Is it her uncle or great uncle? Tully, right?
Brendan Blackfish.
Brendan
Oh, yeah,
Blackfish,
yeah.
but he's a Tully, right? Or-
He's a Tully, yeah.
so she's
her
comfortable. She
mother's
was comfortable with
brother.
him, but she's not comfortable with mentioning that the Knights of the Vale are rearming. She hasn't mentioned that to Jon, right?
Yeah, that's
She
weird.
left that out,
Yeah.
even though Mayor Baltimore told her. both
And
things.
that's where she found out about River Run.
Right. So what's interesting, I think the show should stop doing this because as we said, there was no Tyrion and there was no Jon Snow in this episode. You can tell who's in it in the credits. They don't like Peter Dinklage and Kit Harington weren't in the credits, and last week Jaime, which had no King's Landing, was not in the credits. So I don't like knowing that information ahead of time.
Stop looking at it.
Like,
I
yeah,
thought you
but you
just
have-
had
you
the
have to-
castles to
Well,
know.
it's
I didn't know
it's
that the could they
similar-
really not credit them?
Yeah, they
they're
didn't- they
in
don't-
that season,
they
though. I
don't-
thought that that's part of their contract.
No, they don't. They're not in the
Similarly,
episodes.
when they
It's
do
weird. I
the
know.
previous, previously on
Right,
Game
if
of
you don't
Thrones,
see
it's
them
like,
there.
all right, right? So we all know that the Hound will come back the minute we see something about his death.
That's right.
Right, those final scenes, he's back.
Right, he's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
He's fine.
They do reveal
He's
a
got a
lot.
limp. That's
Yeah.
all.
So at first, I was like, to finish up Walder Frey, his 2 bumbling sons are going to go and get just decimated by Blackfish.
you think?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not that interesting. That's cool. I like to see Walder Frey's people being killed. But then you see in the previews, oh no, it's Jaime against Blackfish. Now we're having a conversation. And that's a cool fight.
Yeah, that would be.
But didn't Jaime have a nice moment with Catelyn? Or no?
I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, she wanted to kill him throughout, and
And she didn't, right?
She didn't, and yeah, I think so. Look, I mean, Jaime's a reasonable guy. Blackfish is a smart guy. They look like they're about to face off, which would be awesome, but they might not.
Jaime's arc, is again, we talked about him in these previous things, is the most successfully rehabilitated character in the history of television for a guy who, chucked an innocent boy out a window while having sex with his sister. And the first time we saw him, you're like, okay, this guy is Joffrey, this guy is Ramsay, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're rooting for him.
Yeah, then
It's
he
an
then he
amazing.
kills
His
the
cousin.
leader of the Stark. Why can't I remember his name now?
Rob Stark.
Rob Stark's father. Why? Oh my God, that's the
Ned
weirdest.
Stark.
Ned Stark. That's the weirdest thing ever. Does that. Then he kills his own cousin to briefly try to get out of prison. Yeah, he had a lot to atone for.
Right, but somehow he did, and we're all like, "Hey, Jamie, the best." And then, but here you're like,
Wait,
"Oh yeah."
Did you say Jamie killed Ned?
Yeah, Jamie didn't.
No, didn't kill Ned. He killed his men when they captured
right.
him.
Oh right,
Killed
right. He set
And
up the capture of Ned, right? And but then all of a sudden, like now you're like seeing him, make out with his sister, and
Well, it's a measure of how bad Cersei is for him, right?
Right,
Like
that's
he's okay until his sister is involved, and then he becomes
that's interesting.
a prick again.
So when she's killed in episode 9, like it'll almost free.
So let that be a
Jamie
lesson to all of us.
I know.
So there's a lesson for all of us. Family brings out the worst in us.
Well, in his case, very, very literally. But you know what? They rehabilitated him so much that it's almost a genuine love relationship between Cersei
Right, I know,
and
right,
Jaime.
yeah.
They almost love each other more than anyone else, any other couple in this series, right? So every other
blood of my
couple is blood of my blood, right? Is a marriage of convenience, etc. So you almost admire it, even though it's insanity, right?
I don't know. I don't. It's Cersei's involved, so I don't.
Yeah. And we can't end without me pointing out the line from the actress. To be fair to myself, which I like to be fair to myself.
Totally true. I know.
She said that.
She said that.
Yeah.
What do we think? Is there a 2.5% chance that one of the writers has watched some Young Turks episode?
I will say, when I was doing my Facebook Live, a couple people called that out. That was a Cenk line.
Yeah, in fact,
totally missed
I got it from my Facebook Live on Game. So by the way, Facebook.com/whattheflick. Matt and I do our own reviews immediately after the show is over or after we've watched it. And I had forgotten line two. When she said it, I was like, wait a minute, that's my line, right? And
Where
then
have I
forgot.
heard that before?
Right. And during the review, some people pointed out, they're like, she took your line. The only difference is I say, to be fair to me, she said, to be fair to myself.
Right.
And you could say,
So,
but
next
she
one-
also followed up with, and I like to be fair to myself.
The one I can't wait to hear in the show is when anybody in that universe goes, "Of course."
It'll be
Then
Tyrion.
we'll know.
It'll be Tyrion.
Right. Then we'll know. That's
It'll be
interesting.
Varys.
Because that's my favorite character, right?
You were nicely made fun of Arya for the incredibly simple way she went about trying to execute it, and then she knocks the glass away, and she's like, "Watch out for that one." Don't you want to add? Definitely throw the bottle of rum away.
I know. Stuff like that drives me
Very
crazy.
because the other woman's going to be like, "Oh, I won't use that glass. I'll just drink right from the bottle." Just add that point. But I guess we'll presume that that she learned that, even though I suspect we're not going to be seeing the actress anymore.
Probably.
I'm not sure about that because I think that Arya will end up running
Running a group theater.
She'll run off with the theater
In the
because
round.
we've got what's his name from With No and I as the leader of that troop, the British.
Oh,
actor.
right. You're right. He's not.
Right.
He's
too big of a guy.
He's too big. He's
Right.
too big
You
an
don't
actor
put him
to
in
be
for
there
two
for
episodes.
two episodes and two scenes.
Right. I mean, we saw
Totally,
Max von
totally.
Sydow for 4 episodes.
That's
this
right.
season,
You're right.
so
You're right. You're
I
right.
think
You're
we're
right.
gonna see-
That troop is not going away.
Right, we're gonna
and they're
see-
fun, and they add it's great
Right.
to see it.
Richard
Yeah.
E. Grant is his name.
And
We're
if
going to
you're-
see
that's
more
right.
And
Richard
a young
Grant.
actress, quite lovely.
And if you were going to be an assassin that went around, the Seven Kingdoms, the traveling circus or a play or whatever would be a good place to hide.
Well, and Arya has learned how to act like someone else.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
She does have acting
Yeah, that was a
ability,
great question.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
like
you're right.
acting like you're someone else?
So, and Richard
she
E.
should have
Grant,
winked at the
who was
camera.
most recently, we saw him in, or you don't do those reviews, but he does. He had a nice
Hudson
little-
Hawk.
Hudson Hawk, right, totally. But he had a nice run. He was that gross, slimy guy an older guy who had an affair with Jessa, or no, he was Jessa's dad in Girls.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
But what I'm looking forward to is once Game of Thrones
Nothing's
is
ever
over.
landed less than that. You three guys.
Didn't miss
I
it.
watched one episode once.
Yeah.
Do they have swords in that show? Forget it.
After Game of Thrones is over and we're figuring out what we should do next, we should do a whole fake show called Dothraki Classic Maulings.
DCM.
What was the app? Maulings?
Maulings.
Maulings. Dothraki classic Maulings. All right.
DCM.
Good stuff. Back next week. I won't be here, but good luck
But
to
we
you
will.
boys.
We will.